Hello and welcome back to another class. Today is July 6th, 2026, Monday. We just celebrated the 250 years of United States. Today we are continuing with category D, idea disagreement. We are on D3, which is decision criteria. Hopefully by the end of the class, we are going to learn the core skill of start with criteria and then give opinion. As a reminder, we have 4 categories and each category has 4 lessons. And we are going to continue with learning leadership communication. As you guys know, I also teach private, one-on-one, specialized in interview prep like admissions interview or job interview, as well as corporate English. Let's get started. So I think it's always important to introduce to my students the vocabulary, the key words, the core of the lessons in the beginning. So if you were a student, first we would go over the homework and then we would go over some vocabulary. I also printed out the lesson here, so if you see me looking down, I am simply looking at the document I prepared for this lesson. So as a reminder, today we are focusing on how to make better professional decisions. Most people start with an opinion. They start by sharing their opinions, but the thing is, stronger communication starts with criteria. By the way, criteria is actually the plural of criterion, which we'll get to that in a little bit. And sometimes I ask my students a warm-up question, like, when you make a decision at work, what do you usually say first? And then, based on what they say, I can say, okay, this is where we can improve, this is where we can adjust. So let's begin with the vocabulary. Please go ahead and read all 4 words together. Okay, now repeat after me. Criteria, priority, trade-off, optimize. Again, criteria, priority, trade-off, optimize. Excellent. Okay, so what do you think these vocabulary words mean? I often encourage my students to give me the simplest meaning. What is criteria? Make it more simple. Criteria is how we decide. Criteria is how we decide. Next, priority. Good. Make it more simple. Good. It means what matters most. What matters most. Next, we have trade-off. Simplify even more. Even more, like as if you were making a statement for a mantra, something easy to say, easy to remember. Okay, essentially, you gain one thing, you lose another. Trade-off. You gain one thing, you lose another. Next, optimize. Optimize. Optimize is how you choose. Optimize is choosing based on what matters most. What matters the most to you, question mark? Choosing based on that is optimizing. Perfect. Okay, so As I mentioned earlier, criteria, the singular is criterion. So I will ask my students to give me an example of a criterion. If they're asking, what do you mean by that? I just mean, when you make decisions in the professional setting or in the personal setting, what is something you consider? So give me an example of a criterion. Good. So some examples, we have speed, we have cost, and we have quality. Excellent. Okay. Now we're going to go into some focus language. These key phrases are your focus for today's lesson. Those are the framework I want you to look at. So number 1, please repeat after me. What's our success criteria here? What's our success criteria here? Go ahead, please. Next, are we optimizing for sustainability or flexibility? Are we optimizing for sustainability or flexibility? Perfect. Okay, now I want you to create your own version. What's something you can say that is something like the focus language, something that sounds very natural to you, and you are allowed to make a combination of these two. Go ahead. Good. And based on what they say, I will do simple adjustments if needed. I will encourage them to make it even more natural, paying attention to grammar, but not being deadlocked on grammar. Now let's go up to structure. So this formula I'm about to write here, I want you to really pay attention to. Criteria, and then decision, and then reason. Criteria, decision, reason. This structure here will help you in your language in communicating. So, for instance, if our priority is speed, we should choose this option because it reduces development time. So something like the structure I just said, if the criteria is this, we should blah blah, that's a decision, and because is the reason. So now we're going to practice some scenarios, and you can create your own structured answers. So scenario number one, you need to choose between a fast solution and a high quality solution. You need to choose between a fast solution and a high quality solution. So please start with the criteria. Now, it's possible as my students navigate through this scenario exercise, they might start with their opinion, but I will immediately redirect them and remind them, no, begin with your opinion. Begin with your criteria. Begin with the criteria. I will push to the student to ask them what is the priority and then decide. So think about the priority and then choose your decision. So let's hear your answer to scenario 1. Good. Now make it more simple. Sometimes I find that my students who are more advanced, they are totally apt in sharing about the scenario, the answers. It's almost like it's too much. It's too much words, too verbiage, too much. So just cut out some of the fat and slim it down a little bit, trim it down. Okay, go ahead, try again. Okay, excellent. Let's try scenario number 2. Option A is flexible but unstable. Option B is stable but hard to change. So which one will you choose? Option A is flexible but unstable. Option B is stable but hard to change. Use the words optimize and be clear about the trade-off. We mentioned earlier, trade-off, right? So as you answer these questions, I want to see some of these key vocabulary in your answers. That would be amazing. Perfect. Good. Now, explain your decision. So after I hear my students share their decision for scenario 2, I would say explain your decision. Talk about the criteria, the trade-off. Good. And then what happens next is usually I give them a pressure round. So as you answer scenarios, I will intentionally interrupt you. I will tell you one sentence only. I will say things to push you a little bit more because the time limit can add pressure. And are you still able to keep yourself emotionally stable and professionally sound while you are under pressure? So let's do some reflection. I usually end my class with reflection, especially when it is allowed, like the time is left in the class. Sometimes there's more time, sometimes there's less time for the reflection. So what's the difference between opinion and criteria? What is the difference between opinion and criteria? Good. If my student struggles, I will encourage them to define. And I will ask which one sounds more professional. And then let's do a bonus round. Optional bonus round. Okay. I will give you a weak answer and then you give me a strong answer. Let's do it. So turn the weak answer into strong answer. Okay. I think we should do option A. Now, using the structure, using some of the vocabulary, try making it a stronger answer. Perfect. For homework, you are going to write out a decision that you made from work and then answer why using the criteria. So using this structure here. Okay, perfect. Excellent. That is a wrap for today's class. So glad we are pushing along. We have one lesson left. If you've been watching these videos, say I've been watching these videos, or email me at nyusprep@gmail.com. Okay, bye-bye.